Hello chess family, it's me, National Master Jesse James, and today we're taking a look at rule number 20, the best defense is a counterattack. This is going to separate the beginners from the experienced chess players because a lot of times for most people whenever they're playing, they seem to just think about the defense only. Well, to get to the next level, don't think about only your defense, but how I can attack my opponent back. Now, this is a very good idea because, well, whenever you're attacking, you're going to be winning material, you're going to be putting your opponent on the defense, and whenever you're attacking, well, that's exactly what you want, right? So when you become a very strong chess player, when your opponent attacks you, you attack them back. It's a very immediate instinct. You're fighting over this equilibrium in the game, and you're trying to push them backwards. So let's take a look at the master of attack over here with Paul Morphy. Rule number 20, the best defense is a counterattack. Let's see how he does it. Here we go. We start off with e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6. Very basic right here. The opening gets chosen with bishop c4, the Italian, as Morphy was prone to play. Bishop c5 here. Remember, when they play bishop c5 here, Morphy already has his opening repertoire, meaning he repeats. Do you know what he plays at bishop c5? Of course, he's going to play his Evans Gambit. So he's going to play pawn to b4. Not just giving away a pawn, but again, always looking for that attacking chance. Here, the bishop must take, and here we get the free tempos we want for c3, d4. c3, bishop c5, definitely one of the worst moves here. You definitely want to look about playing bishop a5, bishop d6 is a move, and even bishop to e7, although I think bishop a5 is definitely my favorite. c3 gets played, bishop back to c5, and here mature Morphy goes ahead and just castles. Young Morphy would play d4 automatically, which, at least by computer standards, is definitely the best way to play. But I have no quarrel with this. I definitely like mature Morphy. He goes ahead and castles first, so he doesn't have to deal with that check that can happen after pawn takes, pawn takes. So, castles over here, d6, and of course, let's do it, pawn to d4. Now here, black goes ahead and plays, pawn takes, and the bishop retreats. Already we have a very fine position. For the price of one pawn, we've got two pawns in the center, two pieces out, and our king is safe. What does black have? Well, they have lost their center with their pawns, and their only one pawn is left. They still need one more piece out. They still got two pieces out in the opening. They still need a third one so they can castle, though. All right, well, let's keep up the momentum. Remember, always be looking for forced moves, checks, captures, and threats. And here Morphy does just that, and he plays pawn to d5. This is a very interesting move. It does attack the knight, but it also does block our bishop. I'm not sure if Morphy had calculated this. Well, black makes a mistake here and goes ahead and plays knight to e5. And already, Morphy has a better position. What would you play here? Well, remember, look for those force moves. Here it's a very easy idea. Because there's going to be a trade force because the knight is forking the knight and bishop, we're going to go ahead and look for the force move, which is captures here. Remember, always look to attack your opponent. Whenever they're attacking you, counterattack, right? So here we're going to go ahead and take. Pawn takes, and again, keep making threats here. You will see some beginners play moves like h3 or something like this. This is going to lose your initiative because you're not making any threats, and already black can look to make their own. So here we have an undefended e5 pawn, develop with a threat. Simple chess. What do we do? Of course, here we go. Bishop b2 attacking the pawn. Now black must defend this or else they'll just be losing. Queen to e7. Seems like every move that black is playing is just a weakness. Already white to move. What do you play here? Here you can stop your opponent from castling. Remember, checks, captures, and threats. Of course, you just play the simple move, bishop to b5 check. There's no good way to defend this without black getting something bad out of it. What do I mean? Well, of course, if you look at c6 here, this is just terrible. We're just going to take, bishop takes, and you win the rook. Okay, so that's not the move. Bishop d7, this actually gets played in the game. So we'll take one look at the other move. I mean, you could just move your king, really, right? And anywhere you move your king to, you're going to be losing the right to castle. So, bishop to d7 got played. And simple chess again, we just take. And this is the problem here. This queen was moved here to defend the e5 pawn. So, well, if you take, well, then we're just going to take the pawn. King takes d7. And yes, now the king has lost the right to castle. Remember, always be looking for those forced moves here. Okay, what do you play here? The king is very vulnerable. Hopefully you spot the check. Hopefully you see the undefended pawn. There it is, white to move. Queen to g4 check, forking the king and also the pawn on g7, which is undefended. Black tries to stay active and tries to counterattack with f5. Take a second, calculate. Should we take with the pawn or should we take with the queen here? One of them is definitely better. I can hear someone saying, you know what, I'm going to play with pawn takes because I want to do this f5, f6 move so I can attack the queen. Don't play hope chess. Here, black will simply just play knight f6, get a free tempo, and now you need to move away. So, easiest move and the best move is just to take the pawn in check. Now, not only are you attacking the king, but you know what? Look at this juicy e5 pawn. Black's game is going down terribly. King e8 was played, and again, we're just going to go ahead and grab another pawn. Bishop takes on e5. Now, you can also take with the queen here, but this is not Morphy's style, right? Morphy loves to attack, and to attack your opponent's king, you want to keep the queen on the board. It's one of the best attackers. Again, if you want to play queen takes e5 here, you're still a good chess player. You're still making good decisions. You just don't have that kind of aggressive personality that Morphy does. So, bishop takes on e5. Knight h6, harassing this queen. Look for the forced moves, of course. Queen to f4 gets played. Here, this was actually not the best move to play. Here, queen h5 check would have been a very nice move here. And if knight f7, well, we can just keep on going pawn grabbing with bishop takes g7, and again, the game is going down for him. But in the game, he just goes ahead and plays queen to f4. Not a bad idea, but now black starts to get the counterattack. King to d7. What does this move do? Well, of course, there's some of you looking at playing rook f8, which is a very good move. But black had his own ideas here. Again, not the best here. If he chose rook f8, this was the best. King d7. He wants to bring his A rook over to f8 and then start conducting a kingside attack. He wants to put his king to c8 over here afterwards. They call this castling by hand. Well, it's Mighty Morphin Morphy time. What do we do now? Let's keep up our development. We can't win the game with just one piece. So we want to move our knight. Of course, that's the next piece. We want to develop all our mighty pieces, then connect the rooks. What do we do now? Knight to d2 gets played. A very interesting move, but Morphy has a very certain idea with this knight move. We'll see in a second. Here we go. Black goes ahead and plays rook to e8. A nice move here, developing with the threat, attacking the bishop, and behind it is the pawn. So, knight c4, this was the idea. The idea is not done yet, but knight c4, maintaining this beautiful bishop right here, and also getting ready for this attacking idea. Black went ahead and played bishop c5. Do you see why bishop c5 was played? Again, if you're not paying attention and you just play real fast, you're like, okay, my opponent played knight c4. It's just to defend the bishop. You might have played king c8 real quick, and here you might be getting into some trouble with pawn to d6 here. This is the idea. Remember, when your opponent's king is in the center, try to open up files and diagonals. And this is a nice way to force it. Knight takes b6, pawn takes. You can just imagine these rooks sliding in perfectly, and the attack is going. So, here we go. Black played bishop c5 to stop this d6 idea. All right, develop with the threats. What's the next piece you want to move? Should be definitely looking at one of your rooks. Here, rook a d1. Be careful about trying to move this f rook, as the bishop is putting pressure on f2. So already rook h to f8 might have been a big problem for you. So Morphy develops the right rook, of course, and again develops with the same threat. Here I want to play d6 and just open this up, and the king will die in the center. Black is all but forced. Bishop to d6. I do want to mention real quick, if you try to go pawn grabbing, I'm not saying this is terrible, but you will lose a lot of initiative. Already here you were like at +6, and now you went all the way down to like +1. Here black gets the counterattack going. A strong chess player not only knows that they can win material, but also looks at the position behind it. Meaning, even though you win a pawn, it might not help your position because you're losing chances to attack. And also give your opponent more chances to attack you. And unless you like being attacked, I don't recommend this style of play. Alright, back to the game. Rook d1 got played. Bishop d6. Again, Morphy doesn't want to trade here, but is all but forced. So, bishop takes, pawn takes, and not missing a tempo. Here, queen takes e4 is played. Many chess players here are going to defend the pawn. Morphy knows the true way. Always be making threats, right? When they attack you, attack them back. He starts to reorganize his pieces. Rook to b1. Of course, if you were thinking about playing queen takes e4 now, you're going to get a little embarrassed. Queen takes d6 check, king c8, knight b6 check, a clearance sacrifice. We want to checkmate, but we need this open file over here. Pawn is all but forced to take, and now either rook is going to check, queen is going to block, and then checkmate. Oof. You have to be very careful whenever you're playing a strong attacking player. So, of course, black does not take. He goes ahead and plays pawn to b6, keeps the queen here guarding, but also makes sure the pawn on b7 is guarded itself. Develop with a threat. Again, the strongest chess players here will not defend strategically. strategically meaning a move like pawn f3 or a rook over to fe1. This is strategy, right? They defend with tactics. Look for that counterattack. Rook f to c1. What is going on here? Again, Morphy is just harassing his opponent. He knows that tactically, again, the queen cannot take. Remember, queen takes, game over. Checkmate in 3 again. Check. King over. Knight a5 check. Not knight b6 this time because knight takes b6, although it is still winning, will allow the king to its escape square in b7. So don't allow that at all. Knight a5 check, and then the queen has to block, and then checkmate again. Oof. Be careful. All it takes is one little slip up, and you will lose this game. White already has a big initiative because they keep developing with threats. And also, they're looking to a counterattack whenever they can. Black plays queen f6. Please, 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 he asks. I want to trade queens. Like every move, you keep making these strong threats. Of course, Morphy says, niet, niet, no, no, no. Here we go. Queen e3, looking for some very exciting attacking ideas. Black plays knight g4. Again, a nice harassing move, attacking the pawn on f2 and also the queen. And maybe the knight will come to e5 again. Because your opponent's attacking, you want to make trades here. This is going to stop their attacking potential. All right, here we go. Knight g4 gets played. What does Morphy do? He's not going to miss the tempo. Knight takes b6 check. Definitely the strongest move on the board. It looks like a very weird move to play, but again, whenever you're attacking, you need open files and diagonals, and all he's done right here is open up his rooks to the strong attack. Remember, if it wasn't checked, this would be a terrible move because the knight could take. All right, pawn takes. And how do we take back? Well, if you took back, you already missed Morphy's move here. If it's not queen takes b6 check, what's the move here? White to move. What would you play here? All right, hopefully you saw this idea. Always look for those checks. Rook c7 check. Beautiful move. And again, black can't take. He goes king d8. Wait, what's wrong with taking? Let's find out. After king takes, you're just getting checkmated here. I'll give you a second. Put pause if you want to. Can you find the checkmate in 3 here? All right, here we go. Queen takes b6 check. The king has 2 running away squares. We can go to c8, we can go to d7. They both have pretty much the same checkmating pattern. Let's go to d7. Here, your opponent's trying to run away, and here the escape score is e7. So we attack on the rank. Queen a7 check, and here it doesn't matter. King c8, king d8. We got the rolling rooks checkmate right there. And if they go ahead and play king c8, same kind of idea. Here we can go queen b8 check, king d7, and again, here's the escape square. Rook to b7 check and mate. Oh my gosh. All the variations are seeming the same, right? White winning. Okay. Rook c7 check, king d8, and here white just goes ahead and plays. Queen takes on b6. Now there's some very deadly checks here. In fact, it's so deadly that, well, there's only one move here for black to play. Can you find black's only chance to survive in this position? Hopefully you found it. Here, there's really no good threats for these discovery moves. There's really no good threats for queen to b8 checkmate by itself. So, black must sacrifice back. Queen takes on f2, queen takes on f2, knight takes. And, well, be careful. Don't play too fast. If king takes, you lose your rook, right? Morphy's still in a winning position, but in all chess games, you have to make sure you play precise until the end. A lot of amateurs will relax whenever they're in winning positions. You know you're playing a strong player whenever they're intense the whole way through. Maybe even intense after the games, too. Well, knight takes on f2. Let's save this rook and make some threats. Simple chess. Rook to a7 here, just threatening the simple move of rook to b8 for checkmate. Ruling rooks again. Well, knight h3 was played. This knight's going to get lost anyways. Here, black would have to play something like king c8. And now white can simply just take king takes on f2. And you can see here, look at this pawn chain. Very nice and beautiful. The rook can't even take on e4. Well, you can if you want to lose your other rook. So here, white's just going to be up too many pawns here. So black plays a very cunning idea. He goes ahead and plays knight h3 check. Pawn takes, of course. Now you just have these double pawns. But again, you're still in this bad position. Black played king c8. And now the final move I really like. What would you play in this position? Here again, whenever you're playing your chess games, always look to make progress. Always be trying to play by the endgame rules, which will be going up in the next one. King f2, and black resigns. This just says, listen, I know I'm winning. I'm just going to bring my king over there, defend this pawn on e4, and my rooks are probably going to double at some point, so there's really no rush. Remember, in endgames, take your time. Well, congratulations, you did finish the whole middle game series. This is going to help you out tremendously. You're definitely on the right track. Definitely on the right track to become a stronger chess player. With that being said, I am starting the last set, which is going to be the end games. Now, if you make it through all 30 of these videos and you haven't got past 1,000, please message me. This is supposed to help you get those that are over 1,000. And please let me know, is this helping? Is this helping you understand things better, see things more clearly? That's the whole point of this series, helping you understand the very basics of the opening, middle game, and end game. Until then, I'll see you later.